Another year in the books and another mountain of incredible heavy music and artwork. Here are 20 of our favorite album covers of the past year. Starting things out is this Stygian Rose Crypt sermon cover, created by the band's vocalist Brooks Wilson. It's a perfect blend of what could be an old fantasy novel cover and something you'd find hanging in a haunted house. There's a certain kind of nostalgia to it, tons of atmosphere, and I love a cover like this that beckons you in to find out what lies beyond the gate. I remain a sucker for black ink illustrations, and artist Niklas Arjulian delivers another deadly enforced design for their latest EP, A Leap into the Dark. Niklas is a regular collaborator with the band, and they certainly help carry the torch of old-school heavy metal imagery together. Not much to say here, this cover does not fuck around, which is fitting for a band and record that doesn't either. At number 18 is all of the Paolo Girardi covers of the last year. It's kind of a cop-out, I know, I just genuinely couldn't pick which one was my favorite. I like the simplicity of the new Temple of Dread record, God of the Godless. The color really stands out, but so does the monochromatic design for Black Dahlia Murder's Servitude. Black Lava and Altar of Oblivion also feature his handiwork, with a level of complexity and depth that we've come to expect from one of the most prolific artists working in metal today. And he didn't stop there. Quality doesn't get sacrificed for quantity with Paolo. Next, I have to show some love to Hamilton's own Lutharo, featuring artwork by Niklas Sundin. Chasing Euphoria has a dark and mysterious nature to it, with all kinds of details buried within the twisting psychedelic design. Really happy to see Lutharo step up their artwork. It's hands down their best work to date. Niklas had some other solid covers this year with his timeless but modern style. It's so uniquely designed. I really enjoy some of these other ones too. The collaboration between Zbigniew Bielak and the legendary Darkthrone gets another chapter here with It Beckons Us All. Featuring his signature complexity, Bielak delivers another sinister, cosmically evil cover for Darkthrone. And for a band that's been at it for nearly 40 years, it's really awesome to see them continue to evolve and deliver the goods. And they're not compromising on the album art or phoning it in like so many of the older bands tend to do at this point in their careers. The legendary Benscotter does what he does best with this Hyperdontia Harvest of Malevolence cover. A grisly scene to be sure, but what really stands out is this particular shade of blue he's used here. Wes really mixes up some unique colors that make each Benscotter painting immediately recognizable as his own. And in this case, it works really well because in a list of thumbnails, you can't help but notice this unusual blue shade, which personally I think does kind of matter, since sadly thumbnails is how many of us first come across or experience a first look at new music these days. At number 14, I put this Replicant cover, which is a record I just keep coming back to. I really like feeling the texture of the canvas in a way a lot of people subconsciously like the tangibility of film grain or hisses and pops of a record. There's just enough detail in the painting from artist Alli Tuttle to make out the eerie scene in her signature style that matches the dissonant, heavy pounding death metal on the album. And a really nice evolution from her first cover for their 2021 debut, Malignant Reality. If you like it heavy, check this band out if you aren't familiar, they're awesome. As eerie and strangely unsettling an image as the music on the album itself, You Won't Go Before You're Supposed To features a photograph from the brilliant Briscoe Park, whose work is the definition of haunting. Great to see bands still using photographic art on their covers, though fewer and further between these days. This year we had throwbacks and egomaniacs, and thankfully we've got Knocked Loose delivering the goods with the full package here. Check out Briscoe Park's stuff. It's a really unique approach to photography, and I think a lot of metal or horror fans would really dig it. Next is this beautiful cover for the long-awaited new album from Alcé, Le Chant de l'Aurore, a reimagining of a classic Sidney Long painting from 1897 by French artist Johann Lassell. The dreamlike quality and softer colors coexist really well with the music on the record, which is a little more on the uplifting side, and the whole package fits in so well with the rest of their discography. Industrial remains alive and well in 2024, and the aggressive sound of Ghost's first Metal Blade release is up there with the best of them. The relatively simple but impactful cover art by Merrill Van Hasteren is a perfect fit for the harsh digital nightmare that is Prophecy. It's a really punchy image with a simple color scheme and truly fits the suggested themes of the record. It really does feel like the world is going to hell in a handbasket these days. Into the top 10 here, we have Masters Personae, the latest from Exhumation, with a brilliant illustration from artist Jose Gabriel Alegria Sabogal. A student of art history, Jose puts his unique twist on ritualistic, mythical imagery, a well-researched and thought-out piece that does justice to another great record from the Indonesian-based band. Now, if you're familiar with the music of Nails, then you could probably appreciate how perfect this cover art is for the band. 8 years removed from their last release, every bridge burning wastes not a single second in pummeling your senses. And artist Jeff Whitehead putting a diabolical twist on a traditional Japanese woodblock print art style is a pretty fitting match for the abrasive signature Nails sound. The art wizard himself, Brad Moore, had a few awesome cover artworks this year. but since I didn't want to do artist repeats this time around, I narrowed it down to my favorite. Slimelord's Chytriodiomycosis Relinquished, released on 20 Bucks Spin, who rarely miss with their releases and always push for quality original artwork. Slimelord has a pretty unique sound, and in a way, the album cover lets you know exactly what you're getting into musically. A meandering, twisted, psychedelic dose of death metal straight from the swamps of the underworld. Adam Burke was once again responsible for a number of amazing album artworks in 2024, and I'm somewhat biased to my selection of a favorite here because I happen to think Ancients are one of the more underrated metal bands out there, full stop. But I also happen to think Adam is at his best when he's opening cosmic dimensional portals in his paintings. The progressive music on each Ancients record is a real journey, and the four figures trekking across a sunless landscape toward an unknown end couldn't be a better fit. This hideous Divinity cover was also super cool. Nightjar, he always makes it a really tough choice. I really love this record. And speaking of interdimensional wormholes, Absolute Elsewhere from Blood Incantation was without a doubt my personal favorite album of the year, and admittedly maybe landed a bit higher on the list than it otherwise might have if it wasn't a masterpiece of a record. The original painting by sci-fi legend Steve Dodd on the cover is devoid of any humanoid figure, which was the only stipulation the band had when they reached out to the 70-year-old Dodd for the commission. Like Blood Incantation themselves, Dodd is a true artist, creating his art for himself first. There's no cell phone, computer, or internet access, and hundreds of unpublished paintings laying around his house. There's a purity to this whole package, and for that reason it earns a top spot on my list this year. This, to me, is what art is all about. Entering the top 5, we have the one and only Satan with their new record, Songs in Crimson, with another vintage cover from Eliron Cantor. This painting has a classic Doom-level vibe to it, pulling you in for a closer look at the horrors that lie within. And I don't see Doom Guy in there, but I'd like to think he's lurking around somewhere in the shadows. I love the color mix and the way the band logo, title, and frame are all worked into the artwork, something I think more bands should embrace. Much like Paolo, Bradmore, and Adam Burke, Eliron once again made it a tough choice this year with another amazing run of artwork. His Crescent King cover for the new Livlios record is also amazing, and it's really clear how highly he is regarded in heavy metal because some of the best and most legendary bands continue to tap him for covers year after year. Now, strictly speaking, deathcore isn't really my thing, but I'm also not a hater, and I really love this new Underneath album artwork from renowned surrealist Riccardo Bettazzoni. It exists between us as far from his most bizarre work, but for those of us drawn into the darker arts, it does a great job of inviting you in to discover what lies beneath. I'm genuinely surprised more bands don't go for his artwork. Maybe it's expensive or something, I don't know, but there are a few who do dark surrealism like him, and I think he's an absolutely perfect fit for heavy metal. At number 3 is Job for a Cowboy's Moon Healer, featuring an absolute acid trip of a cover by Tony Cole. It's as rich in detail and color as the record is in its technical precision, and an awesome counterpoint to their previous release, Sun Eater. And 10 years on from that album, it's clear that Tony and the band have continued to master their respective crafts. The cover is a complete experience with a ton of layers to take in. Alex Gray would be proud. As soon as I saw this vitriol cover for Suffer and Become early in the year, I knew it was going to be hard to top. Artist Dylan Humphreys combined color tones that have a real punch to them, and the incredible realistic details across the image from the twisting serpents to the backdrop of storm clouds and landscape come together in such an aesthetically pleasing way. The story of trying to survive in a hostile environment is laid bare both in the imagery and the music of the record. This is a really great one. I don't know, it just, something about it, I love it. At long last, we've arrived at number 1, and for me it had to be this Full of Hell cover from Brian Montori. The mixed medium piece is both expansive and explosive as the grindcore mastery that is Coagulated Bliss, which I'd probably call the band's best release to date, or at least my favorite. Brian's work is fascinating and unique, and despite the results at first glance, his approach to his art is far from random. A lot of time, research, and thoughtful inspiration guides each piece. Heaviest of Art did a great cover story on this one. Check that out along with Brian's page. Great work, Brian. Full of Hell. Awesome stuff.